beginning. So I met Balázs through my friend Greg, who has his own agency, and we've been working together for years now, and we took on some serious projects together, and I was working with Greg kind of in a way that I was expecting him to, bring me interesting projects to work on, things that kind of matches my, seniority and my past experiences. And that's how I started to work with Greg. And one of those things happened to be through Rollout, where there was this opportunity to work with Labster, and they needed a brand new website, and the tech challenges were actually bigger than it seems from the outside, as this brings in data from various sources. They have a catalog of simulations, they have a support team, there's marketing, and there's sales, and all kinds of integrations. And that just makes the whole website overhaul way more challenging. And that's why I started to work with, Rollout IT, and through them, Labster. What you have to know is that Labster is now a fast-growing company, and whatever I've seen, whatever process I went through, most probably the next person is not going to have the same thing. So it keeps evolving. They're hiring people, they're growing, they're expanding, and so my experience is pretty unique. The way it happened is that we just started to work together as a gig, and then out of nowhere, after like a month or so of working with them, it turned out that they're actually interested in bringing me on board as an employee, and that came out of nowhere, and it was a total surprise. I was humbled, and but we were already started the project, and we were working on it, and I had my daily routine set up, and the project was like kind of going on its way already. And based on that, the onboarding was kind of like I had this daily work, and as a side thing, I have started my project of just actually getting on board Labster as an employee, which actually consisted of a few interviews. So the onboarding process basically became that I needed to meet with various people at the company, and just get the green light from everyone to make sure that I'm the kind of person that they want to work with, and that I know what I'm actually signing up for. And everyone was just make sure that it's a good fit. In the beginning, this was just another gig as a contractor. Labster needs a brand new website, and it's going to be a long project. Like I think it was like 4 or 5 months originally, and that's how I started as a contractor. And I had my team, and my team is from Rollout IT. Basically, the managers, the project owner, and the tech lead is from Labster, and my team is from Rollout IT, and we have a front-end developer. Actually, we have 2 front-end developers. It's just one of them is actually full stack, so she's working on backend stuff also. And I was the backend developer guy at there. And what changed since then, because we were cranking through the sprints and delivering, and me becoming an employee, the thing that changed is that I was hired to be a tech lead at the company, which is just a more senior position with more responsibilities. And at the beginning of the hiring process, they made sure that I'm aware and I'm up for that task. And it's but in the meantime, while this happened, the timing was kind of like perfect, in the sense that we still had to finish the gig that I originally started working on, we had to ship the website project, and that just got shipped like a few weeks ago. And from then on, we barely in the last week have started me transitioning into the tech lead role. So, and that just means that, like, not a lot of is actually changing, because I'm keep working with the same people I've been working for many months now. But it's just the current tech lead is transitioning to another project within Labster, and I'm taking his place. And since the scope has just expanded, we're also getting more people from within Labster and also more people from Rollout IT. So it was a total surprise. It was a total surprise. And it actually was the right timing for me. It's like, before that, as a contractor, you get to work on all kinds of interesting projects, and everything keeps changing. Some of them are short term, some of them are longer, but I was hopping around in shorter term works, and, keep changing teams, seeing like, widely different projects. But when I started to work on this one, it had an absolutely different vibe to it. It was like the processes at Labster are in a good shape, even though they're growing crazy fast. It doesn't feel like that because they put the effort into like trying to get the processes up to speed about how the company is changing. And I just felt at ease that things are like felt organized, and there's people to reach out to, and things get handled. And it was just all good. And I really enjoyed that work environment. And I was kind of like, you know what? I would actually love to work on this for a longer time. I was already thinking like, I wish they would extend our contracts, or like we could just work more on this in some way. And then came the phone call that they're actually interested in working, like bringing me on as an employee. So that was a total surprise. I didn't expect it at all. But I just realized that, it's like my wishful thinking has actually met reality that is just rare to happen. I was like, sure thing. I'm not sure if I have the right advice, but I can share some war stories, like how this happened with me. I'm actually kind of like an exception to the rule, as in I've been a remote worker for like for like forever now. Let me do a quick math. It's something like 14 years now or something, with just a tiny bit of periods where it's like I've been going to an office for 2 years or something, but that was it. For the rest, I've been working remotely since forever. It's before the term for, digital nomad was coined. I was a digital nomad before the term existed. I was living in Panama on a private island and working from there. It's like something like 13 years ago, but I'm not going to do the math on that. So the first time I tried to be a remote worker, I had this brilliant idea. I'm not sure if anyone ever heard about it at that point, that it's like, I would really like to work for a US company. That was my goal back then, many, many years ago, while staying at home. And Skype is invented. We have Gmail, like, it shouldn't be a problem. But that just didn't went anywhere, even though I had the right kind of experience and I was working with a tech stack that was popular at the time. It was, this whole thing was in its infancy, and it just didn't work at all. I was getting interviews, and the hourly rates I was getting offered was like lower than my actual Hungarian hourly rate. But that was like, many, many years ago. So to fix that problem, I actually started my own American company. So if you want to work, this is how I made it so that I actually work for an American company. I just started one. And that actually became a big success. We were one of the world's first iOS companies. And, we had like many category leading mobile apps. We had more than 1 million monthly active users. So it became a big thing. And that's how I transitioned into a more senior role of like hiring people, managing people, leading product development, handling sales, marketing, and stuff like that. And we sold that company. We had a successful exit, and I just kind of transitioned back into just being a developer. I spent like a few years of like thinking like, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur. What's the next thing I should do? But I just realized I was always a developer who ended up finding himself in an entrepreneurial role. So I was like, let's go back to what I always loved to do. And I transitioned back to being a developer, and then remote was a more accepted thing. And now it's even more so, especially since COVID. It's like before that, it was kind of like a privilege. And now it's still a privilege, but it's something that's within reach now. If you just put in the effort, you can find companies that are hiring remotely. And even though if they don't, like what's hard to get is that the time zone differences between the continents is like, it's harder to work for a US company when you're in Europe. It's close to impossible if you're in Asia. And, like you can switch the continents and the hemispheres all you want. But it's like time zone is going to be an issue if it's a smaller company. But if it's a big one that's growing as Labster is growing, that they have multiple people working from them in Asia and in the US and in Europe, and they're opening up offices all over the place, that it's like time zones are not an issue. Being remote is not an issue. I was offered that I could, just switch countries and, work from the office, or I can stay at my home and just keep working for them. Like what we agreed on is that I'm very happy to hop on a plane and just, meet up in person every now and then. And that's it. But the thing here is that what I would advise against is like trying this solo contractor mode, where it's like it takes tremendous amount of energy and skills like self-marketing and talking with customers to be to get as much freedom as you want. And like this is the one that offers the most freedom. It's also something that even though I thought I'm really good at this, I tried for months to, kick off my career as a solo developer, like a really well-paid contractor, but that's just hard to do. Way easier is that you find the right agency to work for. And that's how Rollout IT comes into place. It's like, getting an international client as a guy who charges a lot but knows his stuff is just very different. And just finding the right agency, and they have a portfolio of clients, and all you have to do is just like get the fit right, and just find the right customer and the right client you can work for. And if you really want to become an employee, it's like honestly, this is how I did it. I did it through Rollout IT, and it's actually a very different thing. That not all of the agencies will give you this option to do it. So it's like that's actually uncommon, and that's actually special to Rollout IT, that they even consider letting you go, because it's like you're like, man, I would really love to work for this company as an employee, and they just they're completely open to this. Rollout IT is completely open to this, and they're like, okay, let's start the conversations around that. But in the end, if you want to do it for like just get a remote job, it's certainly possible. Look for a big enough company that is growing, that is hiring. And when companies are growing, then they literally need to find a lot of people in a shorter amount of time frame. And that's when you can get leverage around like where you work from. There's two things you can do about it, really. And it's like, even though if you're a rockstar developer, you're specializing in one thing. So it's like you're either great at backend and you can do front end too, or maybe you're great at front end. But you can be as good that you're absolutely up to date on both sides, but then the client wants a mobile app as well. And then still, maybe the client doesn't have a designer. So you just need to start working with other contractors. And while you're working with other contractors, because let's say you can't write copy, like that's just an absolutely different thing. Like you can't write copy for the app or the website, or you can't do design. Then all of a sudden, you're just a group of contractors working together to fulfill the client's needs. And this is something that you can do well, but there's like agencies that you can just work for, and it's their entire job to bring together teams like that who can deliver the product. And the products need like multiple people. And also agencies are not going to miss that all of these things need proper management and proper communication with the client. So, which is like, the most important thing it's actually the most important deliverable. You can be late with the project if the client is super happy with what you're delivering. But good communication, good project management, and being able to just bringing extra resources if the project starts lacking. That's what agencies do. So either you start working with other contractors and you make a small group of people, or you go to an agency where this is literally what's given to you. Okay. So my case is just a bit exceptional here because, as I said, I founded an American company like a long time ago. So I had a high salary. If you master that part, like the freelancing part and working professionally part and working with clients part, not the increasing your rate part, that just comes naturally from that. Basically, you are your own boss at that point. But in the meantime, it's also what, it just comes with freelancing that even if you do proper planning, there's just going to be downtimes where, a project gets delayed by a whole month or two, or one gets canceled, and the next one, it's just, pipeline management as a one-person army is just not that easy. And so, that just kind of evens out the actual hourly rate benefit that you would get from being your own boss. I think it's absolutely totally fine to do all these things through an agency that pays well. I want a good one that pays well. And, it just gives you a lot of stability, and you can actually focus on your work. And, there's still this freedom part, but it's just the best of both worlds. But, it's a personal preference. For me, it worked out way better than, trying to handle like I was living in Asia, and one of the long-term gigs that I was about to have, it's like multi-month project just got canceled out of nowhere. So I was on the phone for the next 2 weeks to find the next one. You can get rid of these problems. It's like the levers. What's important for you? You can get absolute freedom, high hourly rates if you figure out everything else as a freelancer, or you can work with an agency where you get best of both worlds. Being an employee is different. I actually haven't been an employee for ages, like literally. It's different. Lot of stability, and I actually appreciate it. It's for me, it became personally more important. after all this traveling, I'm planning to settle down, and less less technical challenges in like, and less variations in the terms of project that I was actually looking for, kind of settling down. What I can definitely say is that Labster pays well, and I'm very happy with my compensation. And it's above market rate, and it's above market rate considering if you just scope it down to Hungary. What I've seen, uh, this is this is a very, very competitive salary that they're offering, and they also have benefits. It's like, and the usual stuff like unlimited paid time off and things like that. But I'm not an HR person. Someone else could say this better, but it's like very good benefits, very, very competitive salary, and I get the stability that I was looking for lately. So it's a great fit for me.